everyone, welcome to Flexibility Script. I know it's been some time since I have been able to record videos and things to share, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to start doing a little bit more this year than I was able to last year. This mobilization that I'm going to be going into today is more of I would call it a little bit of a decompression for your lower back and hips. Decompression also can mean like a distraction, meaning a distraction is just a creation of space in the joints in the body. And specifically for this one, it's more of your lumbar spine and your hips that will get that creation of space, making it a really nice mobilization / self-care technique for anyone experiencing some lower back discomfort and hip discomfort as well, or lower back stiffness, hip stiffness. Maybe if you're standing all day and it's just that it just will have a bit of a opening and a releasing effect to create more space and a bit of relief if everything is really compressed. And maybe even if you're dealing with a little disc issues with your lumbar disc as well, this also is really a nice way to decompress without needing to get like into a decompression machine and being able to do this on your own. All you will need is some bands. So I use Rubber Bandits resistance bands. They're like pull-up bands, and this one I know has like 30 to 50 pounds of tension. This one I think is about 50 to 80 pounds of tension. And different companies make bands, and it's just everyone has different colors, but usually when you look at the sizes, the thicker the size, the width that is, the more tension it will have. You also will need something to anchor the band to. So a strong post, like a bed post, for example, or a really stable surface. For me, I'm going to be using the door as my anchor, and there's this little door anchor that you can find by TheraLoop. It looks just as so, and this little part at the end will be the part that goes into the door, the hinge side of my door. I'm going to be using the band with just a little lighter tension, and part of the reason I haven't been recording my videos recently is just due to some managing of my health. And I'm currently I know it's a little on the small side, but I'm currently expecting, which is one of the reasons why I usually err towards bands with lesser tension, just because my body during pregnancy will be releasing a hormone that makes everything be just a little bit more lax than it's used to. So whenever I do banded movement mobilizations, I err on a lighter side of tension. So this is the band I'll be using to anchor the band to the door anchor. Just going to take the door anchor, place it through the band, and that little loop I'm just going to thread through, and so that it looks like that. And then that's what's going to go into the door. So this mobilization is one that really doesn't involve much movement. It's going to be more where you're holding the position and breathing into it and letting the band do its work by gently creating that space in your hip and lumbar spine area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the door, and I'm just going to like kneel next to where I want the band, and right around hip level is where I'm going to place the door anchor. Once the anchor is in, I close the door all the way, and I gently pull to make sure that the anchor is nice and in. So what's nice about the anchor is it converts any door that securely closes into a place to anchor the bands for banded movement mobilizations. Now, one last thing, have a book called Release Your Flexibility Potential. There's an ebook format on Amazon and rubberbandits.com as well. This mobilization that I'm showing is not in the book, but hopefully in a future updated version of the book, it will be included. So to do this, I'm just going to stand up, and I'm getting the band so that I'll step through, and the band is going to come right around right at the very top of the hip. Like if I had a belt, a pant with a belt, it usually will go right where a belt would normally go. So like right above the hip, right at like the start of the lower back / where lower back meets the hip. Once I have it there, I'm just gonna work my way down to the ground, and so that the band is kind of positioned between both of my knees. Once I have that, I'm gonna be laying back, and then I'll start scooching myself back. And then if at any point in time the band is kind of scooched down a little bit, so I'm just going to readjust it so that it is above my, kind of like right above my hip and in my back in a way, so that when I start scooching back, I'll feel like the band is gently grabbing a hold of my hip, and then it's like gently pulling it away from my spine. So once I have that, that feels good. Band again is between my legs here. I'm going to start scooching back. And keep scooching back until I feel like I'm still in control of the band and the band is pulling down, but I don't feel like I'm going to be like bungeed right back. But I feel like I'm in control of the band. My knees stay bent all throughout this, and once I feel like that band is just some tension from the band, like it's pulling me down, that is where I stop. And this is where I hang out, and I usually will start working on some breathing, and I'm usually here anywhere from 1 upwards to 3 minutes, just letting the band do its job. The other thing I can do while I'm hanging out here is sometimes I'll play with my arms, and I'll bring them up overhead while I'm in this position, and I can play with reaching my arms away from me. That way there is something that is gently pulling my hips away from my spine, and then with my hands as I'm reaching, I'm also creating this little bit of a reaching upwards to also elongate the shoulders and arms away from my spine to create a little bit more length towards our creation of feeling of length through my spine. I can reach and I can lower right back down, and I can keep playing with my arm motions, gently reaching away, coming back down. If there's a little arch in your lower back as you reach, no need to worry about rib cage down. Just almost your goal is just to stay nice and relaxed, and whatever happens, just the band is just gently pulling, and no need to try to push your rib cage down or anything like that with the overhead motions. I also have the option to just stay hanging out with my arms up overhead, and no wrong or right. If you want to just stay here and focus in on your belly breathing, all is good. You just are hanging out in this position, no oscillating forward and back or anything like that. Once the time is up, you'll just scooch forward. Now as you scooch forward, if you wanted to, you can even stay down on the floor and unthread the legs from the band and lift your hip up to remove it, or you can come out of it the way you came up into it, and that's it. Usually when you come up to a standing position, you will feel any stiffness that you may have had in that lower back or hip or discomfort, that it is much less than where it started. And this is one that, depending on the issues that you're experiencing in your lower back and hip, that it can be done on a daily and can be done a couple times a day if needed as well, especially if you're dealing with issues that are affecting your quality of life and ability to move freely on a daily basis. Integrating this on a daily can bring a lot of relief to your lower back and hip. So give it a shot. Bye.